You wake up in darkness. Your hands are numb. Your lips cracked. You can't feel your toes anymore, and that's a very bad sign. There's no roof over your head, no fire, no food, no phone, just the bitter wind of a world that doesn't care if you live or die. Your breath rises like smoke, but it doesn't warm you. You try to scream, but your voice freezes in your throat. This isn't some survival reality show. This is the real Ice Age, and you just entered it, with nothing but the clothes on your back. Welcome to the most brutal 24 hours in human history. Let's see why you wouldn't survive even one day. You open your eyes, but there's no sunlight, just a pale, suffocating grey that stretches endlessly across the sky. The kind of grey that hides predators and swallows any trace of warmth. Your breath is shallow and sharp, and every inhale feels like dragging frozen glass into your lungs. The snow beneath you is not soft, it's packed, solid, cruel, cold. Radiates through your body like a poison you can't escape. Your fingers are already stiff, your lips are dry and split. The cold isn't just a discomfort, it's a living, breathing enemy. You try to move, but everything resists. Your limbs feel heavy, your joints ache, every muscle screams. There's no shelter, no trail, no sound, just you and the silent, bone-white death pressing in from all sides. Then the wind begins. It doesn't whisper, it screams. It claws at your face, rips through your clothes, and slams into your chest like an invisible beast. You instinctively turn away, but it finds you anyway. You are exposed, fragile, and laughably unprepared. This is not your world. This is the Pleistocene, the Ice Age, a time where temperatures dropped as low as -60 degrees Celsius. Your modern hoodie, useless. Sneakers, worse than nothing. Your sweat from panic, from effort, begins to freeze against your skin. In this world, sweat is a death sentence. Within minutes, hypothermia begins its slow, quiet work. First your fingers go numb, then your toes, then your thinking. Your brain starts to lag. You forget where you are. You forget how bad it is, and that's when the real danger begins. All around you, the landscape is alien. Towering glaciers rise like frozen cliffs, stretching for miles, groaning under their own impossible weight. They shift imperceptibly, but with enough force to crush mountains. The ground beneath your feet is ancient, littered with ice-encrusted bones and long-forgotten tracks. You try to walk, but the snow swallows your feet. Every step is slow. Every breath hurts. You are burning thousands of calories just to survive the next minute. And you have no food, no water, no tools, no fire. And then, you feel it. You're being watched. You freeze, not from fear, but because your instincts scream louder than your thoughts. Something is out there. Something low to the ground. It moves with patience, purpose. Its breath is visible in the cold, but its fur blends perfectly with the snow. You don't see it, not really, you feel it. That primal warning humans once lived by. You are not alone, but you are the weakest thing here. This isn't just cold. This is a proving ground. A place where only the toughest creatures survive. The mammoths are somewhere far beyond the horizon. The saber-toothed cats are closer than you think. The dire wolves, smarter than you'd expect. But it's the cold that will kill you first. Quiet, efficient, and indifferent. You've only been here for a few hours, and already you're dying. The cold doesn't just make you uncomfortable. It hunts you, slowly, silently, mercilessly. Unlike the saber-tooth or direwolf, it doesn't growl or stalk. It waits, patiently, because it knows you can't outrun it, and you can't fight it. At first, it just numbs your skin. Your fingers stiffen, your cheeks flush red. You think you're adapting, but you're not. Your blood is retreating, pulling inward to protect your vital organs. It's your body's final strategy. Sacrifice the limbs to save the core. Your hands are already useless. Soon your legs will feel like stone, but you're still walking, or at least trying to. Then confusion creeps in. You start to feel warm. It's a cruel trick, the paradoxical undressing effect. As hypothermia deepens, your brain begins to misfire. Nerves start sending the wrong signals. Victims in the Ice Age would often be found stripped half naked in the snow, convinced they were burning up in heat while their core temperature plummeted. You stumble, maybe you fall, and when you do, you want to stay there, just for a second, just to rest. But that's the cold's final trap. Rest becomes sleep, sleep becomes silence, and silence means death. Modern humans don't realize how fragile we are. We live in insulated homes, climate-controlled cars, heated floors. The Ice Age didn't offer second chances. You were either ready or you were dead. There were no warm mornings after a cold night. If you made it till sunrise, you were among the strongest alive. Imagine doing this every single day. No firewood, no thermal coats, no matches, no gloves. You'd have to carry fire in your mind, planning ahead, gathering, protecting it like it was a living thing. Because in a world like this, fire is life. And right now, you have none. What's worse, the night hasn't even begun. And in the Ice Age, night is when the real terror begins. You've made it through the first few hours, barely. The cold has numbed everything, including your thoughts. But now, a new threat awakens. Hunger, not the kind you feel when you skip lunch. This is ancient, primal hunger. The kind that gnaws at your stomach and messes with your mind. And here's the truth. In the Ice Age, if the cold didn't kill you, starvation did. Your body is already failing. Shivering burns calories at an insane rate, sometimes up to 4,000 calories a day, just to stay warm. And you've eaten nothing. There are no convenience stores buried in the snow. No berries to forage. No fish flopping on the shore. The landscape around you is dead white, silent, deceptive. It hides everything, including what you need to survive. Back then, food wasn't a guarantee. It was a reward for risk. If you wanted to eat, you had to earn it. That meant hunting. But you don't have a spear. You don't have a trap. You don't even know what to look for. And even if you did spot prey, what then? Imagine trying to take down a 10-foot woolly mammoth, with nothing but your frozen hands and a sharp rock. Even trained hunters, armed with flint-tipped spears and tribal coordination, could spend days stalking a herd before making a move, and still, they often failed. For you, a lone modern human with no tools and zero experience, it's suicide. So you look smaller. Rabbits, maybe, but they're fast, alert, and rare. Birds, too quick. Fish, frozen under thick ice. And even if you do catch something, what then? Raw meat will make you sick. Parasites, bacteria, or simply the inability to chew frozen flesh could kill you slowly from the inside. You'd need fire. You'd need shelter. You'd need a gut strong enough to handle the wild. And you don't have any of it. In desperation, Your ancestors did things that would make you gag. They chewed on hides soaked in animal fat. They boiled bones to suck out the marrow. They scraped frozen dung for seeds. Survival wasn't about taste, it was about calories. Anything that gave energy, no matter how revolting, was fair game. Some groups ate bugs, larvae, beetles. Some dug up frozen roots, bitter, tough, but barely edible. Others scavenged meat from old kills, flesh half-eaten, left by predators, crawling with flies. And still, they were grateful, because even bad food meant a chance at another day. The hunger in the Ice Age was constant. It didn't just weaken your body, it messed with your mind. Hallucinations, confusion, depression. You'd start forgetting why you were moving, why you were alive. And worst of all, you'd stop caring. That's when people lay down in the snow and never got back up. But starvation also forced evolution. It made us better hunters, better thinkers. Our brains grew sharper because they had to. Every calorie counted. Every misstep was a death sentence. And that pressure, that constant threat, forged the early humans into something we can barely imagine today. Now, imagine this. The sun's already setting. You haven't eaten in almost 24 hours. Your stomach aches, your legs shake, and your thoughts are fading. You see a shadow moving. Is it food or a predator? You can't tell. You don't have the energy to care. The Ice Age didn't wait for the weak. It buried them, silently. And in the end, starvation was often the kindest way to go. The cold isn't just around you, it's inside you now. It crawls under your skin, settles in your bones, and makes your lungs ache with every breath. The sky is darkening, painted in shades of bruised, violet and ash gray. You haven't eaten, you haven't slept, and the wind keeps whispering something ancient in your ear. You won't make it through the night. There's only one hope for her. But you weren't taught how to make it. There's no lighter in your pocket, no magnesium flint, no dry wood neatly stacked under a tarp. You kneel on the frozen ground, your breath coming out in shallow clouds, and begin the hopeless ritual of trying to make fire with your bare hands. You've seen it in movies, rubbing sticks together, striking stones. It looks easy when you're not the one whose fingers feel like glass and whose muscles are trembling. From starvation, the bark is damp, the wind keeps blowing snow into your face. Every motion feels slower than the last. You keep trying, not because it's working, but because the alternative is to lie down and die. That's what the Ice Age does, it strips you down to the truth. No ego, no plan, just raw human panic. And it's getting darker. In this time, fire meant everything. It was the dividing line between life and death, man and beast, hope and despair. Early humans treated fire as a sacred being, something gifted by the gods or stolen from them. Some carried glowing embers in horn shells, buried in ash to keep them alive through wind and snow. Others guarded fire like it was blood itself, never letting it go out. For a tribe, losing the flame was worse than losing a member. And now, here you are, with no tribe, no flame, and the ancient forest watching. Something snaps behind you. A branch. Not from the wind, this was weight. Heavy, measured. You freeze. Then comes the growl. It's low, hungry, close. You turn your head slowly, every instinct screaming. And there it is, a dire wolf, twice the size of any modern predator. Its breath visible in the icy air, its yellow eyes locked onto you. You have no fire to scare it, no weapon to wound it. You are prey, you know it. It knows it. In the Ice Age, fire wasn't just for warmth. It was your shield. The flicker of flame was a wall between you and the nightmare world outside. Saber-toothed cats, cave bears, giant hyenas, they respected fire. Without it, you may as well be blindfolded and tied to a post. You stand slowly, arms out, trying to look big. It doesn't care. Another growl this time from your right. There's more than one. You back away. You stumble. Your foot catches a root under the snow and you fall. No one is coming to help. No phone, no rescue. This isn't a simulation. This is the world as it was, merciless, silent, beautiful, deadly. And yet, humans survived. Not all of them. Most didn't. But the ones who did, the ones whose blood runs through your veins, they were different. They learned to protect fire, like a family, to share it, to build around it. Fire gave them more than heat it, gave them time to think, to bond, to plan. That flickering light made stories possible, community, memory. It was the first step toward everything that came after. You feel something shift in the snow, something warm near your chest. You look down, somehow, miraculously, that piece of bark you tucked into your coat earlier still holds a tiny ember, hidden deep in the ash. It's not much, but it's something. You scramble, hands numb, mind racing. You pile up dead grass, feathers, anything dry. You blow, gentle, not too hard. The ember glows, a curl of smoke. You keep going, another breath. And then flame, tiny, flickering, beautiful. The wolves stop. They don't flee, but they pause. Fire changes things. You guard it like treasure, shielding it with your body, feeding it bit by bit. For the first time in hours, the cold backs off. The light dances across the snow, casting shadows like spirits. You're still starving, still alone, but you have fire, and that means something. It means you might live to see the morning. The morning begins like any other, with the soft glow of twilight piercing the cold horizon. But within hours, the warmth you felt yesterday is gone. Not just cold, this is a dead, biting freeze that sinks into your bones. You look up, and it hits you. The sky is not the same. The sun is hidden behind a wall of thick grey clouds that stretch endlessly. No rays, no light. Just a dull, ash-like haze choking the atmosphere. Welcome to one of the many volcanic winters of the Ice Age. Massive eruptions, like the Toba supervolcano, were not rare in this era. One blast could eject hundreds of cubic kilometers of ash and sulfur into the atmosphere. And once it's up, there, it doesn't just rain down and disappear. It lingers, blocking sunlight for months, even years. Crops die, forests wither. The temperature drops even further, by up to 15 degrees Celsius in a matter of weeks. For early humans, this wasn't just bad weather. It was a slow, freezing apocalypse. You try to start a fire, but the wood you've gathered is damp from the ice fog that now clings to every surface. Every breath feels like shards of glass in your lungs. Your body begins to shiver uncontrollably. That's hypothermia knocking on your door, and it doesn't ask permission before barging in. Your blood retreats from your fingers and toes, conserving heat for your core organs. You lose feeling in your hands, then pain, then nothing. And this was just the first week. The volcanic ash starts poisoning the lakes and rivers. You go for water, but even a sip tastes like burnt metal. Animals have disappeared. The few that remain are starved, skeletal, and hostile. They don't see you as a fellow survivor, they see prey. Wolves, usually hesitant to approach humans, now stalk in desperate packs, and you're too weak to run. But there's a cruel twist of fate. While the world around you freezes, your own body starts to burn on the inside. A fever sets in. It's your immune system, overwhelmed, trying to fight off infections from frostbite wounds and contaminated food. You have no antibiotics, no shelter, no sun, just the cold, the dark, and the feeling that nature itself has turned against you. It's been weeks, maybe more. Time doesn't move forward anymore. It drags like a dying animal. The air is thinner, colder, and your stomach is a hollow drumbeat of pain. You've stopped counting the days since you last tasted real food. The roots are frozen solid, the berries long gone, and every hunt ends in failure. You chew bark now. Mushrooms, sometimes deadly, are a gamble you're forced to take. And then something inside you breaks. The hunger isn't just in your belly. Now it's in your thoughts, your dreams, your instincts. Your body is eating itself, stripping your muscles, feeding off your fat. Your ribs poke through your skin. Your eyes are sunken. Every step feels like lifting a mountain. Then, one night, the silence is broken. You hear it, a scream, not a beast, a human. Someone in your group has gone missing. You will look at each other, suspicion growing like mold. No one speaks it aloud, not yet, but it's there, unspoken. Did someone kill them for food? The truth is darker. The Ice Age didn't just test your body, tested your morality, your soul. When pushed past starvation, when every animal is gone and even the snow tastes bitter, humans did the unthinkable. Cannibalism wasn't an act of cruelty. It was survival. A cold, desperate logic whispered by nature itself. Eat or die. It starts subtly. A limb frozen clean. Maybe they died naturally, you tell yourself. Maybe this is mercy. But deep down, a part of you knows it changes you forever. The fire that once burned in your chest to protect others is now just embers, barely flickering beneath the smoke of hunger. And you're not alone. Other tribes are out there, some further gone than you. They've embraced it, eyes wild, teeth sharpened. These aren't humans anymore, they're predators. And when you cross their path, there is no language, no negotiation. Just the chase, the scream, the silence. You flee, but how far can you go with no strength? You hold your child tighter, your fingers shaking not from cold, but from the fear that you won't be able to protect them. Or worse, that when the time comes, you'll make the same choice others did. This is the moment where survival becomes a war between body and conscience is losing. The wind never stops. It slices through your skin like flint against bone, carrying with it the shrieking voices of the dead forests and the cracking ice. You've walked for hours, maybe days, wrapped in whatever scraps you could find, animal skins, frozen cloth, the fur of a wolf you barely managed to kill. The weight of hunger is still chained to your ribs, but something new has begun to haunt you now. The cold is not just killing you, it is erasing you. And then you see it, a flicker, a glow, a pulse of warmth in a world that forgot how to feel. Fire, but not yours. Another tribe, a camp, distant, flickering red orange against a pale blue of snow. It draws you like a god, not because it offers warmth or safety or shelter, but because fire means someone else survived. You crouch in the shadows, watching. They sit around the flame, gaunt and silent, like ghosts who refuse to leave their bones. Their faces are painted with ash, Their weapons are crude, but their fire it dances, not chaotically, but in rhythm, controlled, contained, worshipped. You remember your first fire. It wasn't just a tool, it was a revolution. The moment you no longer had to eat raw or freeze in the dark. Fire was power. Fire meant life. Fire pushed back the night and gave you time to dream, to tell stories, to imagine something beyond just surviving. But fire is not neutral. It is never neutral. It warms but it burns. It comforts but it consumes. And these people, they've given it meaning. You sneak closer, hidden behind broken trees and blackened snow. You see something you didn't expect, a child being carried forward, limp, unmoving. You know that look. The fire flares brighter. Your breath catches. They're not just cooking food, they're offering it, a ritual, a sacrifice. The fire isn't just warmth for them, it's divine, a god to be fed, a force to be pleased. Somewhere in their story, they stopped using fire and started serving it. Maybe it was madness, or maybe it was clarity born from despair. You recoil, but a part of you hesitates, because what if they're right? What if the only way to survive this frozen hell is to become part of it, to bend, to break, to evolve your soul around whatever keeps the flame alive? You remember your own tribe, huddled in darkness, arguing over scraps, praying for the sun to rise, and here these people have warmth, even if the price is unspeakable. You crawl back through the snow, your breath ragged. Every inch of your body begs you to forget what you saw, but your mind won't. That flame is burned behind your eyes now. When you close them, it dances. They're red, hungry, alive. You return to your people and speak of what you saw. Some shake their heads, some cry, but some stay silent, thinking, weighing, because it's not about morality anymore. It's about math. It's about what keeps you breathing tomorrow. And then one day, your own fire flickers out. The wood is gone, the snow too deep to find more. The wind howls louder, as if it knows. Your tribe begins to crumble. One by one, they drift away. Some to die, some to disappear. Some maybe to crawl toward that flickering flame you found in the forest. You sit in the dark, alone, cold, hungry, silent. Then a whisper, not a voice, a memory. The first time you made fire, with nothing but a spark and hope. You watched it bloom in your hands like magic. You didn't worship it then, but you understood its value. And now you understand something deeper. Fire isn't a tool, it's a mirror. It reflects what you are, what you're willing to become, what you're willing to burn to keep breathing. Some people burn wood, others burn their humanity. You feel around in the dark, searching for the last dry branch, the final piece of flint. You strike it once, twice, again, a spark, then light, then warmth. You hold your hands near it. Just for a moment, you feel the past tribes singing, elders whispering stories, children laughing. The fire was a circle, a sanctuary, a place of memory. But now, you sit alone. The fire does not judge. It simply asks, what will you give me to survive? You stare into it, and for a moment, just when you think about the other tribe, their offerings, their strength, their warmth, you close your eyes. You are human, but that word is changing. In this age of ice, to be human is not to walk upright or speak or think. To be human is to adapt, to bend, to crawl, to claw at life. When life no longer wants you, to become the thing that endures, even when everything else breaks. And you will, because you must, because fire must keep burning. The cold had teeth now, not just a chill that numbed the skin, but a gnawing bone-deep freeze that swallowed entire worlds of warmth. Forests had turned to skeletal remains, rivers to lifeless crystal paths. Every breath became a battle, every blink threatened to seal eyes shut with frost. As the Ice Age reached its most brutal phase, it wasn't just the elements that tested. Humanity was time itself. This was the moment when all prior knowledge, instinct, and resilience would be weighed. For some, it was a cruel countdown. For others, it was an opportunity to outwit death with innovation. The few scattered tribes still wandering the snow-blanketed world began to realize that survival meant more than moving with the herd. It meant adapting beyond it. Fires grew larger, shelter more permanent. Some began hollowing out ice caves to trap heat, while others used animal hides in layers so intricate they rivaled future Arctic gear. And for the first time, small communities started leaving behind symbols, markings on stone, bone carvings, cave paintings. These weren't just decorations. They were desperate attempts to say, "We were here, we existed," as snowstorms raged. For weeks without end, the air was no longer filled with the roars of predators, but the silence of extinction. Mammoths, saber-tooths, even great cave bears, one by one, their silhouettes vanished from the horizon. Man stood alone. But instead of perishing, humanity clung tighter. They began to create myths, stories around fire pits about gods of ice and beasts of warmth. The mind became the strongest weapon against the void. Each day was still a gamble, a coin toss between frostbite and breath. Yet something astonishing was happening. Our ancestors weren't just surviving the Ice Age. They were transforming through it. The harshness had carved into them a deeper intelligence, a more profound bond with one another. In the end, it wasn't just stronger bodies that pulled them through. It was something softer, more invisible. Hope. It burned quietly beneath the snow, refusing to be snuffed out. And then, slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the ice began to weep. What was once eternal frost started to soften at the edges. Glaciers cracked with thunderous groans, rivers stirred beneath the crust, and the white world began bleeding blue. The sky, no longer a flat grey lid, occasionally cracked open with hints of gold. The Great Freeze had lasted for millennia. Now, the planet exhaled. For our ancestors, it was both terrifying and miraculous. They had been forged in ice, sharpened by scarcity, and now faced something utterly foreign: abundance. Grass returned in tufts, timid and green. Herds began migrating back through the old trails, and the silence so long their companion was replaced by birdsong, trickling streams, and the distant echo of life resurrected. With the thaw came more than warmth. It brought questions. What now? Who are we beyond survival? For the first time, humans began to settle with purpose, not just out of exhaustion, but out of desire. They planted seeds in the newly softened soil. They built structures, not just to endure storms, but to celebrate seasons. Time no longer moved in circles of survival. It began flowing forward. Tools became more precise, rituals more complex. The same hands that once clung to stone spears now shaped pottery, etched myths into walls, and traced constellations in the sky. The Ice Age had ended, but it had not broken them. Instead, it had transformed them from wanderers into settlers, from prey into planners. As the earth bloomed, so did the human spirit. They named the stars, told stories of how the world had nearly ended, and passed down the tale of how they did not. The Great Thaw wasn't just a climate shift, it was the rebirth of possibility, and in the wet soil of that rebirth, the roots of civilization began to grow. And so, from the cold ashes of the Ice Age, humanity rose not as beasts chasing warmth, but as beings chasing meaning. What began with trembling hands around a dying fire had become a symphony of survival, invention, and awakening. Our ancestors carved more than tools. They carved memory into the bones of the earth. Every footstep through the frost, every story, whispered in the dark, every spark struck against stone it, all echoed forward. Their struggles are our foundation. Their questions became our curiosity. And though they are long gone, the fire they lit still burns in our minds, in our cities, in our search to know who we are and where we're going. We were never just survivors. We were always becoming something greater, and the journey has only just begun. If this journey through time stirred something deep within you, don't let it end here. Hit subscribe and join us as we uncover more forgotten worlds, untold stories, and the fierce spirit that shaped us. Comment below what you would do if you were dropped into the Ice Age for 24 hours. And remember, the past isn't dead. It's just waiting to be remembered.